If you felt like the Redmond market in 2025 was a little bit confusing, you weren't wrong. It wasn't bad, it wasn't amazing, it was a little uneven. Some homes sold quickly, some took a little bit longer than expected, and a lot of homeowners were left wondering, did I do something wrong or is the market just weird right now? That's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Hi, I'm Diana Pullen. I'm with Sold in Central Oregon and Real Broker. I focus on pricing strategy to help sellers understand how homes actually sell here in Redmond and not just what the headlines say. This is a quick real world review of what happened in Redmond, Oregon in 2025 using real numbers and real outcomes. No hype, just context. So let's start with what the typical home looked like. In 2025, the average home that sold single family was 3 bedroom, 2.5 baths, and just under 1,900 square feet. The average sales price was around 655,000, but the average sold price landed closer to 612,000. That's about a $30,000 difference. It's not catastrophic, but it's definitely not nothing. And that gap matters more than people might think. So I like to also look at the median because the averages can get a little bit weird sometimes. The median home in 2025, single family, was a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and about 1,800 square feet. The median original list price was around 560,000, and then the median sold price was around 549,000. So roughly about a 3% different. Most sellers, they didn't miss the market. They just overestimated it a little bit. Something else that's worth paying attention to is that homes sold for 99% of their final list price compared to what they originally listed at was around 97%. And that tells us that homes didn't sell low, they sold after the expectations were corrected. So it's not really failure, it's more like the market doing its job. So let's talk about days on market because this is actually where the strategy really starts to show up. Half of the homes sold in the first 30 days. They have the strongest leverage because they got the price closest to where they were originally priced. Homes that crossed over into the 60 or 90-day range got a little bit weird. It's not because the buyers were being difficult, it's because they had more time to gather more options. Time is not neutral. It definitely has opinions. And one thing that I want to point out, because the anecdotes can get a little bit confusing, the lowest sales price in 2025 was 160,000 and the highest was just under 2 million. So when you hear things like, oh, everything's selling or there's nothing that's moving, they both can technically be true at the same time because they're in different contexts, and context definitely matters. So here's the big takeaway for 2025, a year in review. Homes that were priced realistically from the start actually sold faster with less stress and with a better outcome overall. The homes that launched in an optimistic price range usually still sold, but they took longer than expected and required a little bit more explaining. So pricing isn't about winning on day one. It's more about protecting your leverage early in the game. If this kind of breakdown helps you make sense of what's actually happening in the market, that's exactly what this channel is for. I post weekly videos. I'm going to break down pricing and timing with strategies for homeowners who want clarity before they ever list. So in my next video, I'm going to talk about one of the most common pricing decisions that I see sellers make, and that is pricing a little bit high to leave room for negotiation. I'll talk about why it feels safe, why it's tempting, and why it's often something that ends up costing you more in the long run, and which is not what you expect. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and you won't miss my next video. I'll see you on the next one.